In my writings, South Los Angeles or South Central Los Angeles has many people, and therefore many stories are waiting to be told from the individuals who live here, who work here, have businesses, good lives, good people, and I've met most of them, young and old. But also, there's other stories too that need to be told about the people, the places, and the atmosphere of living in South Central Los Angeles, or South LA if you prefer. And that's why I chose to write about it, because I felt growing up reading all these stories, it always had an East Coast slant, a Midwestern slant, but nothing really talking about where I live. Um, and I wanted to change that by just writing stories such as Relay, It's All About Fate, writing two books, The Voices of South Central, Storm of South Central, and try to bring the positive out of negative, but also admit that the negative has impacted most of our lives. You know, there's a reason why in my immediate area, people have moved out of homes in the late 80s and early 90s. You will see the reason why in my immediate area that storefronts are now being replaced by affordable housing. You will see that in my area, politicians who used to write op-eds for newspapers that no longer exist are in office and, of course, have changed it to their agenda, not not for the people who live in the area, but have made it to their agenda, what they feel is right for them or their legacy, and how they can have people convinced in a packed room that somehow they know what's best for the people of South Central Los Angeles. So that's why I write about this area, the good and the bad, and not just gang violence or drive-by shootings, anything like that. It's also public officials thinking that they're above everyone else. You know, there was a meeting of a certain lot that was going to be converted to affordable housing, hybrid retail. And I seen the politicians there. They were there. They were celebrating. Of course, they just acquired this land from a lawsuit, or no, actually, they took it to a judge from the developer who had the land, and they won. But the politicians really don't know the people that live here. Of course, they don't mind giving their vote, but they really don't understand or the lives of the people who live here. When I write about these people, when I write about these individuals in my stories and my poems, when I write about the conditions that they're under, these are the people that actually live in this community, that have to deal with the decisions made by our politicians, good or bad. But they're the ones our politicians should not feel that they should lord over just because they went to a better school or other positions that they now hold. When I write about South LA, I'm writing about the people. Why? Because I'm one of those people, except for a 5 year hiatus in the Bay Area. But I'm one of those people. See? Even the noises are trying to surround me. But South Los Angeles is much more than just a chant or hashtag or any kind of designation you can put on social media or in the public eye. It's much more than a movie, a well celebrated classic movie, or movies reflecting the problems of this neighborhood. It's much more than the books that I write and have produced to let people know, hey, I'm talking about South LA because I'm from the area. I've known the people here and I know what's going on. Actually, just give my take on people who live in the community and also creating stories from my days of taking English classes over and over again, learning about Shakespeare, learning about Faulkner, learning about Wright and Baldwin and Lewis and all the rest. So that's what I do as a writer, writing about this community. Because born and raised in this community, I've seen, I've pretty much seen it all, right? In fact, the first time I was exposed to comic books were newsstands. There was a newsstand on Vernon and Figueroa, and I saw a DC comic, read through it. It's nice. Or on West Boulevard, my grandmother used to live. There was a liquor store that I would read my comics. And of course, comics are always accessible back in those days. You could read Marvel, DC, only two you could read, right? And even the one on Florence Avenue by Hoover, you can read that too. So if I mention these sites to you, then you know exactly. But also, not just reading comic books, reading books in general. The libraries, from the LA City Library to the county libraries. One in my neighborhood, close by, where all I can do is walk down the street or take the bus. That library is always accessible to me. I was able to read as many books as I can, from the Bill Russell story to science fiction anthology, and also the classics. See, get that? Can't get that street sound, but also the classics, and I read most of them too. So by the time I was in college, it was no problem reading the Iliad or this movie coming in the summer, The Odyssey. It's no problem at all. All I can just say is that South LA was also, if you can find it, a treasure trove of knowledge by going to a local library, even one in the county. And it's not the one that I'm associated with now, it's a different one. But I can tell you that it is amazing what libraries can do. They can help someone like me, born in this community, to be educated, smart, and also learn to read and interpret what I'm reading and have a critical eye about what it is that's on paper or now on screen. But South LA is just more than the knowledge that you can gain from a library. It's the stores. They used to be all around the area. Who could ever forget the boys' markets, right? There was a boys' market. I told my wife this story, and you'll be surprised that when I was a very young man, the Jackson 5 drove a truck around the parking lot of the boys' markets just to wave at the fans, just to say, hey, wave. And that's it. My earliest memory of the boys' markets. But the boys' markets was just a regular superstore, just like Ralph's. Or who can forget Zodi's on Century, right? Zodi's on Century. Now you see how old I am. Yeah, I'm an old guy. The Sears that used to be on Manchester in Inglewood, and all the other places, right? Even though I did mention Inglewood, but I can remember when the Bone Hills Crenshaw Plaza first opened up, how people thought that was a monumental task, something for us in the community to go to, until it's not ours anymore. Over 30 years, and that's how long it took to evaporate. Sorry about that, the cough. So that is the reason why South Los Angeles is so important to my writing, because living here and going to the places I've been to visit the bowling alleys, the arcades, the roller skating rinks. Yes, we did have one. They were part of my childhood, as well as the other places I just mentioned to you. But to say those places can never come back, well, again, we're starting to see it in some form coming back, with developers now working with our community leaders and politicians. Hopefully they can bring back that magic. But again, the one thing that the politicians and the special groups and those who want to get into that space, the one thing that they are forgetting is that it is the people that live in South Central Los Angeles or South LA that will always make that community what it is, and it should always be a community that everyone will respect, as I wrote in an article one time. I will leave it up to you whether or not you continue to view South Central or South LA through those lens of its past or of its present and what it's trying to become. Not only mentioned in my books, because it's much bigger than books, but from what you see is happening. People have walked the same streets that I'm walking, and people are now starting to move in from different places and understanding it's not like it was in the movie. So I'll leave that to you. I do want to thank your time. Don't forget to like or subscribe if you like what you heard. But again, I thank you, and I'll do more of these in-depth programs or segments to let you know my writing style and also my mindset in certain subjects. But until then, I wish y'all the best, and always in closing, take care.